Welcome back to another video. Today we are talking about dimensions. Yes, 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 yes. Oh, come on. Yes. Damn. All right. How's it going? My name's Kieran Nakam. Today I wanted to talk about, specifically, I wanted to talk about a concept because I've been studying a few things. I've been studying a few physics things, okay? I've been studying physics related things. And I have a little smile on my face because I know something you don't, and I'm not gonna say anything just yet about it. I will talk about some other concepts because I do feel like what I have stumbled on quite accidentally. No, I did it on purpose. What I've stumbled on purpose, it has a sort of frame of mind to it, as a way of thinking about the world. And if you want to understand the scale of my idea, which is gonna be coming in a following video, hopefully if I figure out the math for it, will be better understood within the frame of all the ideas that accompany it, if you like. And I'm going to talk today about my idea on dimensions, which I think has been misunderstood by a lot of the science community and a lot of physicists and all that shit. All those guys, all those professional guys. I apologize for the sunglasses. I know I look like Heisenberg. Not Heisenberg, the physicist, obviously. Or not Heisenberg from Breaking Bad. I'm not knocking on your door.
I'm the one who knocks.
But Heisenberg from Resident Evil 8 Village. He talks like this, really, like kind of a posh voice. Ethan Winters. Ethan. I could do better, okay? But yeah, there's the sun in my face, and I kind of have to. If I do this, otherwise I'll be squinting. I'll be like, hello? I want to talk to you about dimensions and the visible dimension, really. Actually, that could be a good starting point. The visible dimension. The idea, first of all, I think, that science has currently about what a dimension or dimensions might be, or the philosophy behind dimensions, is something to do with we humans live in a world of such dimensions. However, the universe secretly is conspiring because it may have more dimensions. And if we look down on a two-dimensional world, for instance, because we are three-dimensional, humans, we would be able to judge upon high these two-dimensional creatures and all that. And I think that's nonsense. That's nonsense. It's not really accurate. Here's why. I had a thought the other day. I was looking at the hypercube. A hypercube, for the noobs who are watching, is a spatial dimensional cube, because what you might have heard is there are 3 dimensions of space and 1 dimension of time. That would be 4 dimensions. However, I am not talking about the time, I'm talking about a 4th dimension of space, okay? And I was looking at it, and I had a bunch of ideas previously about a lot of physics stuff, and I was thinking about scale. And I was thinking, hang on, the 4th dimension of space is scale. A what? Is a scale? So let me explain why the 4th dimension of space is scale. When you look at a hypercube, I'm going to try to accompany this video with images, right? When you look at a hypercube, it will look like basically a cube, right? In the 3-dimensional perspective, it will look like a cube, and then a sort of like lines going out from the vertice. Is it vertices? I think it's vertices. I don't know all the vocab and the math, guys. In French, we'd call them les sommets, right? So I learned it in French, sorry guys. And it creates a second cube on the top. So I thought that looks exactly like what it would look like if you had a small cube and you, in increments, increased it in size and just went. However, the 4-dimensional object is not one cube or the other. It is both. It is the concept of growth. Now, more mathematically, now this is where I might be getting confused because there's a lot of numbers involved.
Not very convincing, Kieran.
I remember this from Neil deGrasse Tyson. He was explaining it, and he was saying that a square is a 2-dimensional shape that is bounded by 1-dimensional lines. And so a cube is the same thing. You just increase the amount of dimensions. A cube is a three-dimensional shape bounded by 6 two-dimensional squares. So you have a cube surrounded by squares. And the number has gone up from 4 lines, it's gone up by 2 to 6 squares.
So far, you've got me, Kieran.
So what would a tesseract or a 4-dimensional cube be? It would be a 4-dimensional object bound by, you can do it, 8, I was waiting for you this time, 8 3-dimensional cubes. God damn it. I wasn't waiting for you. I was waiting for me. So my point is that what you should have bounding this 4-dimensional object is a cube. But if you look at the tesseract, look, picture again. If you look at the tesseract, this thing there, I don't know where I'm gonna put it on the screen, let's be honest. It has a cube there, I guess, and a cube there, I guess, but these things in the middle are not cubes. But look again. If you look correctly, you're gonna see that there are actually 8 cubes, right? So the first cube is the one here. The second cube is the one there. Because remember, we're talking about a shape in 4 dimensions, in scale. So I'm allowed to use this as an edge, and this as an edge. But then these, what are these? These are the representation in 3 dimensions. Because we are visualizing, what did I say, visualize?
Old English over here.
We are visualizing the hypercube in 3 dimensions. We're not seeing it in 4 dimensions. And now I want to just wipe it all away, wipe all this away, right? Now we're gonna go back to some basic concepts. We're gonna go back to 1 dimension, 2 dimension, and 3 dimension. So what is a line? Well, a line is 1 dimension. A line is the thing that you can draw like this, right? But that's not what a line is. A line is the concept of movement. Is the concept of just, I am moving through space. Because from the perspective of the line, it cannot see itself as a line. That's us looking at the line from a 3-dimensional perspective on a 2D plane. That's what we're looking at. We're looking at a line from above. Like if I show you a line right now, you are looking at it from above with your 3D eyes in a 3D world. What is actually a line from the first dimension's perspective is the concept of movement itself. You are it. Say I was a point, which by the way, a point is a 0-dimensional entity, which means it doesn't exist. But say I was a point. I'm going along 1 dimension, which means I can only do one thing. I can only go forward or back. I can only move or move, if you like. But then conceiving of the world as a point within a line is not correct. We are 3-dimensional beings in a 3-dimensional world. What is this nonsense of we're cutting up dimensions? We have like a lesser dimensional being and a higher dimensional plane. This is not how it works. What evidence, what observations have we ever seen of a 2-dimensional world that we're looking down on? So what evidence is there really, even conceptually, of some kind of higher dimensional being able to look down on us? Makes no sense. So again, this 1 point is actually a very, very tiny line moving through another line. But it is movement. What is then 2D? 2D, the same as a square, right? No. You're looking down at it, at supposedly what is a 2-dimensional thing, from a 3D perspective. Everything we're doing right now, 1D, 2D, 3D, well obviously 3D, but is from, weirdly enough, 1D and 2D, we're looking it down from a 3D perspective on a 2D sheet, and 3D, we're still looking down at a 2D sheet most of the time, unless you're looking at the world, unless you're experiencing the world, right? And so your square is not actually a square. I've seen a video recently where they say, well, if you shift, I think it was from the Action Lab, sorry. If you look down at a square, you'll see a very thin line. That's not true at all. The thin line is a width. That would be a 3D shape. You are a 2D shape in a 2D world. What you can do is move. Like in 1 dimension, you are movement because you already have this 1 dimension, but you can also rotate. This is what you can do. You can move and rotate. And so the 2nd dimension is rotation. And the 3rd dimension is perspective. The 3rd dimension, you have a shape and you can turn it And you can change the way it looks on a 2D sheet, if you like. But even in the 3D world, you can change the way it looks by moving it away, moving it back, turning it around. It is perspective. And so then the fourth dimension of space must be also some concept. And it must be scale. It must be now able to grow physically. So the example I gave, I have a blog, and I think about these things beforehand. The example I gave was a glass of water, for instance. We conceive as a glass of water that you're filling up as a three-dimensional thing, right? And we're just putting more three-dimensional stuff together, right? But think about it. If you put a lot of two-dimensional things together, you create a three-dimensional object. So what happens when you put a lot of three-dimensional things together? You're putting a lot of water molecules. You're adding them up. Now, we don't see the water molecules, which helps us conceive of this more easily as a gradual transition. So we see the water going up. We still conceive of it as a three-dimensional thing. So it's weird to look at it as a four-dimensional scale object, really. That utilizes time. And by the way, some people might be thinking that. They might be thinking, well, Kieran, you're using time to do this. You're using another dimension. But don't we do it for everything? To create a line, you need time. To create a square, you need time. You always need time to manifest something. But anyway, I digress. And so you're still wondering about those cubes. You're still thinking about those cubes. Kieran, please tell me. Those skewed cubes, how are they cubes? They're cubes because you're visualizing them in the third dimension. You're not visualizing them in the fourth dimension. In the fourth dimension, these are 2D slices that are growing and forming a skewed cube. But it's skewed because you're looking at it not from a perspective of, I can move to grow. If you simply move to grow, it is a cube. If this moves in the fourth dimension, it grows to form a cube. And so from all this, what can we deduce? We can stop talking about, and there's a lot of mathematicians that would probably be against me right now, but who knows, maybe they find this interesting. They'll say things like, well, what if you took a sphere and you put it through a 2D sheet of paper or whatever, a 2D world. If you put the sphere and you looked at the cross section, basically that's what it is, it's a cross section. If you do that, it's gonna increase in size until it reaches the diameter of that sphere. And then it's gonna, damn it, I just realized the sound's probably gotten worse and worse during this thing, hasn't it? The circle is gonna grow until the diameter, and then it's going to shrink again. This is the example that a lot of physicists, or mostly mathematicians, I'd say, will give you, right, to explain dimensions. This is where it gets uncomfortable a bit, because I feel like string theory is based off this idea that dimensions are somehow separated, and we can observe that there are things of lesser dimensions that somehow exist and create more dimensions. I don't think this is possible. Sorry, guys. Sorry, string theorists.
She doesn't look sorry.
I feel like the best way to describe the world is to assume if we are 10-dimensional, we humans are 10-dimensional as well. In this case, for instance, the fourth dimension would show it. We are able to grow. I mean, not much, right? We're able to grow a little bit in scale, I suppose. When we're children, we are smaller, and when we grow into adults, we get bigger. And then at the end of our lives, we maybe even shrink a bit. And that is moving in the fourth dimension. It actually is moving in the fourth dimension because we add molecules and lose molecules. We're not simply pretending. I'm not like this is the I am growing in the fourth dimension. I'm growing in the fourth dimension. No, this is perspective. This is me appearing like I might be growing in the fourth dimension, but I'm not actually growing in the fourth dimension, adding molecules. We are four-dimensional beings. Now, if there's a fifth dimension, yes, we are fifth-dimensional beings as well. But you'll have noticed that these dimensions are not actually things. They're concepts. So a dimension, when you say the three dimensions of space, you're thinking, well, length, width, height. No, it's movement, rotation, perspective. Those are the three first dimensions of space. And then there's scale. Now you could even start framing time. You could say, well, Kieran, okay, I get it. We're moving in the fourth dimension, but we're not really moving in the fourth dimension. We're moving barely. But the same thing could be said about the third dimension. You can't move everywhere you want in the third dimension. You wanna go to the sky? That's fine. Build a rocket. But you gotta build a rocket. You're not free entirely. So you might think that you're free at first, but you're not entirely free. There are clearly differences between all these dimensions. Like you can move freely in 3 dimensions, but you can't move freely in the 4th. Well, not really. It's the way we conceive of them. And who knows, perhaps we are more free in those first 3 dimensions for now. Perhaps later we'll develop a way of adding molecules to ourselves and becoming larger and larger as needed. I don't know, I'm just inventing at this point. But my point is that it's conceptual. The issues that might arise with linking dimensions together is just because these dimensions were never apart in the first place. They are one. Cutting things up into dimensions, I don't think is a good way to go for physics. That's my point. I think we need to start conceiving of the world as one big thing. And dimensions are a useful tool to examine the world, but it's not going to lead you to anything. Why do you think people are having so much trouble with depicting our 3-dimensional globe on a 2-dimensional surface? And then people talk about the holographic principle as if it's somehow viable. That's what I'm literally repeating a tweet I wrote. As if it's somehow viable to describe the universe when we can't even use it, we can't even make a map of the 3D world. We can only use the globe, the actual globe. But you don't need to. You just need the actual globe and to learn to think in 3 dimensions. The same as with the 4th dimension. You have to learn to think in 4 dimensions. Now, the way that I finalized this on my blog is that I talked about the final dimension, the first and final dimension, which is conception. You are the maker of the dimensions. You are the creator of your world. Now, even if there's some limits, obviously, I can't just go, well, this is this shape on my window, and that shape on my window, that's like a square thing, or rectangle, with 90-degree angles. I could just say, no, it's a circle. No, obviously not. You can build on principles, and physics is not a bust, right? But there is a very important part in the descriptions that come with the universe, which is your perception of them, your creation of them. How you perceive the world is how you decide to inquire about it. And that, I don't think, is a very popular thought in physics. I don't think people are aware of this. I don't think people want to. They want to just, well, I hear it a lot, shut up and calculate. Not for me, obviously, because I'm not a physicist. I don't know any physicists. All I'm doing is just putting ideas out here. But I think it's really important to remember the dimension thing. At least for now. I'm going to leave it here. And I'm going to ask you what you think. My name is Kieran Nakam, and I hope you like this video. If you like it, you can share it. I would really appreciate a subscription. I don't post videos extremely frequently, but I feel like what I do post, relatively interesting. So I would love to have you along for the ride. Of course, you can choose not to. But take care. And I'll see you in the next video. Damn! Wait. The work is done. Knock, knock. I'm the one who knocks. You killed my friends. And now, I'm gonna kill you.
You merely adopted the darkness. I was born in the darkness.
All right.